Today's NFC playoff picture breakdown is presented by Manscaped. You can get 20% off and free shipping on all their great men's grooming products over at manscaped.com/chat. On Sunday night, we did the AFC playoff picture. Now, following Monday Night Football, it's the NFC's turn. Here's where things currently sit, and there has been some change at the top. The Packers now have the number 1 seed with a tiebreaker advantage over the Buccaneers and the Arizona Cardinals. Meanwhile, the Cowboys and the Rams are lurking a game out of getting one of those top seeds. The Niners lead the way beyond the Rams in the wild card, then a bunch of 6 and 7 teams fighting for that last spot. We'll come back to some of those other teams, but I want to focus in right now on the division leaders. That is the Green Bay Packers at the front with a win over the Chicago Bears 45-30. A tough game this week on the road against a Baltimore Ravens team dealing with some injuries. Now, as we enter the final 4 games of the playoff schedule, or the regular season I should say, there are some playoff clinching scenarios to discuss. For Green Bay, a win or a Vikings loss, they play the Bears, Minnesota does on Monday Night Football, secures an NFC North title. A playoff spot would be clinched by Green Bay if they lose, and the Saints win, and the 49ers lose as well. So keep that in mind from that perspective. Excuse me, it's actually a Saints loss, my bad. Anyway, you guys know it's the NFC North division to win for the Green Bay Packers. They blew out the Bears in the second half mostly, 45-30. The Bears kind of forgot to show up down the stretch in that particular game. I like where Green Bay is at. They are a very real threat for the number 1 seed, but you can make an argument, given the schedule, the Buccaneers might be a little bit more likely to secure that number 1 seed. Currently the number 2 seed. They held on barely against the Bills in overtime. They have the Saints now on Sunday Night Football. A win over the Saints secures the NFC South title for the Bucs. In the event that they lose, a Vikings loss and a Niners loss would allow them to clinch a playoff spot. We're not really too worried about that playoff spot scenario for these top 2 teams. It's about clinching the division, securing at minimum a home game to open up the playoffs. The Bucs nearly had a big blow against the Bills. They were up big in the first half, and kind of like the Cowboys this week against Washington, and the Vikings against the Steelers this week. Second half comes around, and the offense forgets to score points properly. Overall, though, Tampa, with Tom Brady, remains a very dangerous threat in the playoff race. Their offense operating pretty well. They're not quite perfect yet, although no team has been perfect this year. Everybody at some point this year has laid 1, if not 2 or 3 eggs in notable games. So who will get the number 1 seed in the NFC? You've got 5 teams in the mix here: Bucs, Packers, Cardinals, Cowboys, and the Rams as well. Let me know what you guys think will end up happening. This will be the pinned comment on today's video. So if the ad break comes on YouTube, take advantage of it. While the ad plays, head down there and let me know what you think ends up happening. Monday Night Football was nothing short of incredible. The Rams upset the Arizona Cardinals on the road, who for whatever reason are not that good at home relative to what they've been on the road this year. The Cardinals, however, still maintain the number 3 seed in the NFC. Now, they do not have any division clinching scenarios. Because they lost to the Rams, that's going to take a little bit longer to get sorted out. But they do clinch a playoff spot with one of the following: either A win, it's pretty straightforward from that one, or losses from Minnesota and San Francisco. There's also some weird 4th combination involving ties. I don't do ties on playoff stuff because it's just so convoluted that it almost never happens down the stretch. If it does happen, then we'll update and I'll look stupid. So how good was Monday Night Football this week? Were you entertained? I certainly was. Kyler Murray was a blast to watch despite some missed throws, but he was carrying that offense pretty heavily. Grade it for me. A, B, C, D, or F. I'm giving it an A, but I want to hear from you guys. If you want to get an A off the field, or at least downstairs, use Manscaped, the best men's grooming products on the market. 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com/chat. Now, if you need to apply a promo code at checkout, do so. Should automatically be applied, though, if you use manscaped.com/chat. By the way, a clickable URL will be in the comment section and in the description for you guys. It's not just the Lawnmower 4.0, by the way. They've got the Performance Package as well, which includes the Lawnmower, Ball Toner, Ball Conditioner, the most comfortable boxers known to man, and the Weed Whacker, nose trimmer, ear hair trimmer, just in case you need that extra boost up top. Manscaped.com/chat with promo code chat gets you 20% off and free shipping. To the NFC East favorites, the Dallas Cowboys. Awesome against Washington in the first half, almost an oopsie in the second half. Now they get the Giants in Week 15. Now, they have a chance, a convoluted one that I'll explain in a minute, to clinch both a playoff spot and the NFC East. The big reason why they're in this position, because they have beaten up on the NFC overall this season. They're only lost against the Bucs. That is a big deal for tiebreakers, by the way. Dallas beat Washington 27-20 behind the strength of their defense. Like several other teams, if the offense gets going, look out. It's just not quite working the way we saw it work earlier on this year. So let's discuss these clinching scenarios now, because they're kind of complicated. They clinch a playoff spot with a win and either a Saints loss or a 49ers loss. Now, from a practical standpoint, Dallas is win and in, because they would need one of those two teams to lose one of their last 4 games. That's going to happen, but it gets complicated if it doesn't happen. So that's the clinching scenario, which looks simple compared to this one. Dallas can clinch the NFC East with a win and a Washington loss and 5 combined wins from these 6 teams: Arizona, Cincinnati, the Chargers, Dolphins, Vikings, and New England. Now, this comes down to strength of victory. It would help the tiebreaker against Philadelphia. Again, from a practical standpoint, a win and a Washington loss gets the Cowboys in the NFC East. But there is a scenario in which, like, Dallas wins, then loses out, and then Philly wins out, and there's like 30 other games that go the wrong way, all 30 for Dallas, and they don't win the division. So they're going to win the division. Are the Cowboys a legit Super Bowl contender, though? Because winning the bad division, it's not good enough. Yeah, sure, you should win that division, despite what the preseason pundits had to say. If you vote yes, well, check out our Cowboys channel, which I'm the host of, youtube.com/CowboysTV. But you can be a hater in the comment section, too, because the offense has not played very well. Why for yes and for no in the comments section. Let's go to the wild card race. This is just a cluster. Rams, we'll spend some time on them. They're in fantastic shape. The Niners, we'll spend some time on them as well. The Washington football team, by the way, is in a fairly interesting spot, as they are part of a very, very large group of teams fighting to get one of those last playoff spots. The 6-7 football team, Vikings, Eagles, Falcons, and the Saints are all in there tied, technically speaking, but going to a situation involving tiebreakers. I'll also make note, we're not going to spend too much time on Panthers and Seattle. If they win this week, maybe we will revisit it after that. All right, the Rams are the number 5 seed right now, thanks to that big-time win over the Arizona Cardinals. They can secure a playoff spot if this happens. They win, the Falcons, Saints, and Vikings find ways to lose. So it's not a playoff lock at this point, but the Rams are in a really good position. I think probably next week in Week 16 they end up securing a playoff spot, unless they have more issues for whatever reason against Seattle, which hasn't always been the case. It's been the weird circle of suck involving the NFC West. Speaking of the NFC West, the Niners, the number 6 seed, after a crazy, thrilling, awesome game against the Cincinnati Bengals. They are the heavy favorites right now to secure that number 6 seed in the NFC. That win over the Bengals was a big deal for them. 7-6, although it's only one game, feels so much larger than 6-7. And if they beat the Falcons, by the way, that would be a big deal for potential tiebreakers down the stretch as well. So no clinching scenarios yet. There might not be one till Week 17, Week 18 even, but pretty good spot at the current moment. For now, the football team is the number 7 seed in the NFC, and I fully expect, possible freezing cold take here, that this number 7 seed is going to go all the way down to the final week. And I think there will be some fun scheduling, movement, I'll call it, to figure out exactly how that all goes down in the end. Against the Eagles this week, that is not a playoff elimination game, but the winner takes the lead, I'll call it, for that number 7 seed. Now, this is just the AFC or the NFC playoff picture, right? If you want the full AFC playoff picture, video looks a bit like this on that thumbnail, if you will. Check the comments section, the description as well. I will put a link in there for you guys. We broke that down on Sunday night because the primetime games are both NFC. And oh, by the way, we'll do the exact same thing next week. Make sure you guys are subscribed. Time for the other guys. Great movie. Minnesota, Eagles, Falcons, Saints. We will focus in on them. My apologies to the Panthers and Seahawks. They're only a game back, but All right, the Vikings almost blew it against the Pittsburgh Steelers, but they did hold on to win back on Thursday Night Football. Now some extra time for Minnesota. Their schedule's not that easy, but they're going to be able to make a push if they can get some things figured out, I would say predominantly on the defensive side of the ball. I think it's been a bit of a disappointment from that perspective. I love to use the New York Times playoff simulator. They've got the Vikings at a 29% chance to make the playoffs this year. Let's go down to the Falcons-Panthers. A focus here on the Falcons side of things. Just a 9% chance for Atlanta to make the postseason this year. In large part, their schedule. Niners, Lions, Bills, and Saints. If they lose against the Niners, as they are expected to, that's a massive blow to their playoff hopes. Then there's the New Orleans Saints. They took care of business against let's call them what they are, a bad Jets football team, and maybe bad is a bit of an understatement here. The Saints have a chance in these scenarios right now. I think they're ahead of the Falcons, behind everybody else. They got to start winning football games. Their issue, after they play the Bucs, Dolphins, Panthers, Falcons in Week 18. That may or may not be a deciding game for a playoff spot. It's going to go all the way down to the wire. So of these 6 and 7 teams, who is most likely to make the playoffs? Type in WAS for Washington, MIN for Minnesota, PHI for Philadelphia, NO for the Saints, or ATL for the Atlanta Falcons. I think it's one of those two NFC East teams, but I want to hear from you guys in the comments section. I'll go ahead and give you guys a shout out here because if you stuck around, Panthers, Seahawks, Giants, Bears, I'll be nice and I'll mention your current playoff chances. The Giants, 1%. The Bears, less than 1%. The Panthers, 1%. Seattle, 3%. You can tell why I did not spend much time on them. Here are the top Week 15 matchups before we go. Washington at Philly, that's a massive game. Falcons at Niners, those two have massive wild card implications. All 4 teams in the mix there. Packers at Rams, I think the best crossover AFC, or Packers at Ravens. It's right there on screen in front of me. Packers at Ravens, the best crossover game. Saints at the Bucs, that one is on Sunday Night Football. I think the Bucs win, but if they don't, things get dicey all of a sudden in the wild card race.